Hello, lovely Dylusionists. Rejoin me in the studio as we continue with our 12 days of Christmas. And today is day 9. We are 3/4 of the way there. If you haven't started your wrapping, start wrapping it now. We've only got 3 days left. If you haven't started your mince pies, start now. Or just cheat and go buy some. Buy some and sprinkle some fresh icing sugar over the top. Okay, right, so today's card 9, we are going to be using the Dylusions holiday colouring images. I have a lot of these image books. This has probably got stuff taken out. I have a lot of these image books. And this is the Christmas one, and we reissued this one because this one sold out. So these are all tags that I made originally, and then the art department just transformed them into sort of colour sheets. And I don't use them as a colouring book. I sort of take them when I'm travelling and I cut things out of them, etc. So in the Christmas one, you have the large. Can you see you have large images that you can use? But at the back, you also have small images, and you get 2 sheets of each. So at the back you get, can you see these, which are just fabulous for cards, the perfect size for cards. So I'm going to use one of these, okay, because you can just tear them out, and then you can see, if you see, you can actually see where the line is that you just cut. Perfect. And this will go on a folded card like so. I don't know whether to put it to one side. I can't decide. I might put it to one side. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's going to be like a bit blank on there, isn't it? So I am going to stamp and add some dust. And what I'm going to use is, I am going to use Kiss Me Under the Mistletoe, and I'm going to use this. It's rather nice. This is going to be quite subtle because I'm going on a light colour. On black it would be really dark, so I'll check if I don't think it's right, I'll just swap to a black base. You know what I'm like. I'm happy to just change course of what I'm doing. So I'm going to use the Diamond Medium pad. Okay, so I'm going to ink up the stamp. Oops. And I'm just going to do a bit at a time. So I'm going to stamp. You can't really see it when you stamp on clear, so I'm just going to do a bit at a time. Okay, so I've done a little bit there, and then I'm going to pick up, use the Island Parrot, just a bit, tap it off, and just, you don't want a lot, remember, just a little bit. Just tap it where you think you have put your image. Less is more. It's much better to just put a little bit, and then, and you're tapping, you're not fluffing around, you're just tapping. Okay. Blow off the excess. Let's stamp a bit more. Can you see that? So I'm going to ink it up. Come round the side. Add a bit more. It's a slow drying ink, but I would rather just do a little bit here and there than stamp it all. If you stamp it all, it might dry before you actually get round, or not so much dry, but you won't get a good impression. So, and then I'll just stamp this corner, and then I'm going to add in any extra bits that I might want to do. So I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to add a little bit in there, a little bit in there. Again, look, not a lot, just a little bit. I see most people putting far too much on. Again, if you're interested in more of how the diamond products work, I have done a series on YouTube. Just go to my channel, the Diane Reevely Dylusions channel on YouTube, and I've got a whole series of how to use the diamond range. So pat it down, give it a good blow, and then just gently swish to get it off, and then you will see it's not a solid green, but hopefully you can see how the light is catching that, and then when you pick it up it will have this iridescent look to it. It's got like a bronzy one way and then a green the other way. Now again, this needs spritzing. If you don't spritz, if you don't protect it, this will rub off. You can use just water, okay? When I'm in a hurry, I use like a cheap hairspray, but you can't use cheap hairspray on a light coloured card because it will make it yellow. So you need a, there's other makes, but you need a fixative. This is a pastel fixative. You can get a charcoal fixative, a chalk fixative, and I'm just going to spritz it with that. I'm just moving over here because I don't want the fixative to go everywhere. So I've just given it a very light spray, but at home you could spritz it with water and leave it to dry. Okay, I tend not to do that with cards because it does warp them a little bit, so I tend to use like that. So I'm just going to pop that to one side, and in the meantime let's get some double-sided tape on the back of this. And again, I've sat in hotel rooms colouring these. So, you know, I've got books that are just totally coloured and then I cut them out afterwards. So, which would be even quicker, but I'm going to colour this, but I'm just going to colour this quite simple, actually. But again, if I was doing these as cards, I would probably, you know, make loads of them and then sit down and have a good colouring session. I think I'm going to get a clean piece of paper because I've got a lot of dust and stuff. I've been using it for the last few days making these cards. Where's it gone? There it is. I don't know, I think I'm going to have it in this central. Yeah. Okay, and of course I'm going to outline it. I must have some glue on there, my paper stuck to it. Oops. So the backgrounds of these are I made a lot of tags, a lot of inky and painted tags with lots of stenciling on. Can you see where I've just made a boo-boo there? So I'm going to make a boo-boo all the way around. Just bring it out more, and then it looks as though that meant to do it. That was totally an accident, but there we go. That's fine. So in the background is the stenciling or the ghosting that I've been doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the background totally blank and I'm just going to do the pattern that's in there. So I'm going to start with the background and I'm going to use greens. So let me get me different shades of greens out. So I've got fresh lime, I've got mushy peas, I've got island parrot, I've got dirty martini, and I've got cut grass. Okay, so I think I'm going to do the circles first, and I'm going to do the circles in fresh lime with a bit of dirty martini shade. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple at a time, And I'm just going to add a little bit of the Dirty Martini down the left-hand side. What you have to do is you have to decide where's going to be your shaded area. And my shaded area is the left-hand side. So if you imagine your sun would be either coming from over here or over here. My sun always comes from the right. My sunshine always comes this way, which means the shadow would always be at this side. If your sun always comes this way, your shadow would be at this side. That's just a very quick description of it, really. And just add it while they're wet. Don't do too many, because if you do too many, you won't be able to blend it through. But if you just add a little bit to the left while it's wet, and it makes you look as though you really know what you're doing. See, just a little bit in there. So anything that's a circle is going to be fresh lime and a little bit of a touch of Dirty Martini. I work quite quick. If you work slower, just do one at a time. But, you know, I am known for being quick. I don't intentionally, mean to go quick. I just am. I do everything quick. Don't want to waste a minute. Okay. And then let's do the leaves in Dirty Martini. I'm just going to turn it this way. Look, this is such an old stencil, this leaf here. If you've been with me a long time, you'd recognise some of these stencils in the background. This one was an absolute nightmare to clean because it had all these little pointy edges. But it was quite an early one before I really... Now I just know so much. But at the beginning, I just thought you drew shapes. You know, or you just did a design. I didn't think any further than that looked nice. But it's a learning curve. Everything is a learning curve. You can't expect to know it straight away. You know, when I first brought out my stencils, I didn't know how to design a stencil. And nobody tells you. They're just like, we want some stencils. You have to figure it out for yourself. Is this going to work? Is this going to work? I remember I did some flowers, and when they sent me the stencil, everything fell out because I didn't know anything about bridges or, you know, how to hold your stencils in. It was hilarious. So whenever I teach at Stampers Anonymous, they make Tim's stencils, and they always are happy for me to help people design their own stencils. So whenever you come to a class at Stampers Anonymous that I'm teaching, you go away with a 6x6 stencil that you've designed yourself. But everybody tries to do these really, really complicated designs. And I'm like, it's not going to work, it's not going to work. And people don't believe me. And I'm like, you know, I've done everything wrong. I've now got 14 years of stencil design behind me. Please listen to me, that is not going to work. But nobody believes me. So if ever you come to Stampers Anonymous and I say to you, I'm really sorry, that's not going to work, I will help you find a better way of it working. It's just that what you've proposed is not going to work. There you go. So there is the background. So let's do these holly in the corners. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick with Dirty Martini, but I'm going to pull in some polished jade. And I don't know whether I'm going to use my watered down or my full. Let's see. So we'll start with watered down, and if I need to put the full, because it's quite strong, is polished jade. So let's go in with the Dirty Martini, and I'm going to do one holly leaf at a time. There we go. I think, you see, I think the watered down version is better, because some of my inks I do water down, but I think I've got 3 of the blues watered down, a purple. I don't think I have any of the warm colours. I think it's just the cool colours. Balmy Nights I have watered down. And you can see, because it's wet, because I'm applying it when it's wet, it's just doing its own thing and blending through. You don't really have to do anything to it. And this time I'm putting it down the bottom of the stalk. That's where your shadow would naturally be, down the bottom. And then I'll do this one over here. So you see, this looked really complicated, but it's not. I don't do anything complicated. I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered doing it myself, and I can't be bothered teaching complicated things, to be honest. So, right then, let's do the bird. So I think I'm going to have the bird, I think paley turquoise. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring out the water brush, and I'm going to do some of it very pale, a bit like I did the Santa's beards earlier. So this bit here, just make sure you get plenty of water. I'm just going to add, oops, a little bit too much there, but that's okay. Just going to add, and then a bit here, a bit there. Ooh. And then a little bit in there. Okay, and then I'm just going to pick, did you see I just picked a bit up off there to just add a bit more in, and then I'm just going to blot it, and then I'm going to take the actual colour itself and do this part of the bird. I'll come in here. I think I'm going to take the polished jade, but the full version, and I don't know if you can see, but I've got like a little outline around here. So I'm just, okay, I'm just going to fill that in with that, and then I'm going to do the berries and the jolly, and I think I'm going to use cherry pie this time. Excuse me. Oh, I mustn't forget the bird's beak, actually. You could get the kids to colour these in and send some cards from the kids. There we go. a bit for the beak. There we are, done. So when you first look at this card, it looks as though it's just the mane, but then as you tilt it, you get this gorgeous, I'm hoping the camera's picking that up, but you get that gorgeous shimmer effect. I don't have to write anything on it. I've got jolly on there and I've got some holly. So it's obvious it's a Christmas card. So thank you, and I'll see you in the studio tomorrow. Okay, bye.